to Sarushi classes. So let's continue our class 11 introduction to Indian culture. Chapter number 2, that is art of the Indus Valley. So in the previous chapter we have already seen the location of the sites. We have already seen these maps. So let's again have a look at it. So these are the sites. Here is the Indus river, and these are the places, or these are the sites that were this place basically we called it as Indus Valley civilization because these cities are settled on the bank of the river Indus, and that's it. So let's start reading this chapter. So the arts of the Indus Valley civilization emerged during the second half of the third millennium BC, and the forms of art found from various sites of the civilization include sculptures, seals, pottery, gold, jewelry, terracotta figures, etc. So here you will see here is the seal of a terracotta, and the artist of that time surely had fine artistic sensibilities and vivid imagination. So their delineation of human and animal figures was highly realistic in nature, since the anatomical details included in them was unique. And in the case of terracotta art, the modeling of animal figures was done in an extremely careful manner. Now the two major sites of the Indus Valley civilization along the Indus River, the cities of Harappa in the north and the Mohenjo-daro in the south, showcase one of the earliest examples of civic planning. So, other markers were houses, markets, storage facilities, offices, public baths, etc., arranged in a grid-like pattern. Remember, grid-like pattern. So, there was also a highly developed drainage system. While Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are situated in Pakistan, the important sites excavated in India are Lothal and Dhulavira in Gujarat. Remember, these are the important sites like Lothal and Dhulavira, and these were excavated in India in Gujarat. Now Rakhi Grahi in the Haryana, then Ropar in Punjab, Kalibangan and Balathal in Rajasthan. Remember these names: Lothal, Dhulavira in Gujarat, then Rakhi Grahi in the Haryana, Ropar in Punjab, Kalibangan and Balathal in Rajasthan. Now statues, whether in stone, bronze or terracotta, found in the Harappan sites are not abundant but refined. So here you will see a bust of bearded priest. So let's read something about the stone statues. So the stone statuaries found at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are excellent example of handling three-dimensional volumes. In stones are two male figures. One is torso in the red sandstones, and the other is the bearded man in the steatite, which are extensively discussed. So here you will see this figure of the bearded man, and another figure I'll show it in the next pages. So the figure of the bearded man interpreted as a priest is draped in the shawl coming under the right arm. Here you will see coming under the right arm, covering the left shoulder, and this shawl is decorated with the trifoil pattern. So here you will see this trifoliate patterns, and the eye of this figure are little elongated. Here you will see these eyes are elongated and half closed as in the meditative concentration, and the nose is well formed and of medium size. So the mouth of is of average size with a close cut mustache and a short beard, whiskers, and the ear resemble double shields with a hole in the middle. The hair is parted in the mirror. Here you can see the hair is parted in the middle, and the plain woven fillet is passed around the head. So here you will see this what we can say a woven fillet which is passed around the head, and the armlet, here you will see the armlet is worn on the right hand, and the holes around the necks suggest the necklace. Now bronze casting. So techniques of the same nature are practiced even now in many parts of India, having a continuous tradition. So let's discuss something about the bronze casting. Now, the art of bronze casting was practiced on a wide scale by the Harappans, and their bronze statue were made using the lost wax techniques, in which the wax figures were first covered with a coating of clay and allowed to dry. They were then wax was heated, and the molten wax was drained out through a tiny hole made in the clay cover, and the hollow mold thus created was filled with the molten metal, which took the original shape of the object. And once the metal cooled, the clay cover was completely removed, and then in the this is the technique to cast bronze figures, and this is called as lost wax technique. So in the bronze we find humans as well as the animal figures, and the best example of former being the statue of girl, popularly titled dancing girl. Amongst animal figures in the bronze, the buffalo with the uplifted head, back, and the sweeping horns, and the goat are of artistic merit. Now, bronze casting was popular at all major centers of the Indus Valley civilization, and the copper dogs and bird of Lothal and bronze figure of a bull from Kalibangan are in no way inferior to the human figures of copper, bronze from Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Now, the late Harappan and the Chalcolithic sites like Daimabad in the Maharashtra yielded excellent examples of the metal cast sculptures, and they mainly consist of human and the animal figures. It shows how the tradition of figure sculpture continued down the ages. So here you will see the figures of mother goddess, which is made up in the terracotta, and here is the another terracotta figure. In here you will see the you can see the hairstyle and the necklace of this, we can say the face, and here is the neck. And so this is about it. So let's discuss something about the terracotta. So the Indus Valley people made terracotta images also, but compared to the stone and the bronze statues, the terracotta representations of the human form are crude in the Indus Valley, and they are more realistic in Gujarat sites and Kalibangan. Now, the most important among the Indus figurines are those representing the mother goddesses, and in terracotta, we also find a few figurines of the bearded males with coiled hairs, their posture rigidly upright, legs slightly apart, and the arms parallel to the sides of the body. Now, the repetitions of this figure in the exactly the same position would suggest that he was a deity. Her terracotta mask of horn deity has also been found, and the toy carts with the wheels, whistles, rattles, birds, and animals, games, winds, and discs were also rendered in terracotta. Here is the another figures of terracotta. Now, something about the seals. So, archaeologists have discovered thousands of seals, usually made of steatites and occasionally of agate, chert, copper, fines, and terracotta, with the beautiful figures of animals such as unicorn, bull, rhinoceros, tigers, elephant, bison, goat, buffalo, etc. And the realistic rendering of these animals in various moods is remarkable, and the purpose of producing seals was mainly commercial. It appears that the seals were also used as amulets carried on the persons of their owners, perhaps as modern day identity cards. Remember, these amulets were just similar to the modern day identity card, and the standard Harappan seal was a square plate 2 by 2 square inches, usually made from the soft river stone steatites. Remember this steatite is a soft river stone, and every seal is engraved in a pictographic script which is yet to be deciphered. Unfortunately, the Indus script haven't been deciphered yet. Now, some seals have also been found in the gold and the ivory, and they all bear a great variety of motifs, most often of animals, including those of bull with or without the Hum. Now, the elephant, tiger, goat, and also monsters. Sometimes trees or human figures were also depicted, and the most remarkable seal is the one depicted with a figure in the center and the animals around. So, now this seal is generally identified as a Pashupati seal by some scholars, whereas some identify it as a female deity. Now this here you will see is the Pashupati seal, or some scholar may identify it as a female deity. So this seal depicts a human figure seated across legs, and an elephant and a tiger are depicted to the right side. Here you will see elephant and the tiger are depicted to the, here is the elephant and the tiger are depicted on the right side of the seated figure, while on the left side a rhinoceros and the buffalo, here you will see the rhinoceros and here you will see the buffalo are seen. So in addition to these animals, two antelopes are shown below the seats. Now seals such as these date from between 2500 and 1500 BCE and were found in the considerable numbers in sites such as ancient city of Mohenjo-daro in the Indus Valley. Now, figures and animals are carved in the intaglio on their surfaces, and square or rectangular copper tablets with an animal or a human figure on one side and an inscription on the other, or an inscription on both the sides, have also been found. Now the figures and signs are carefully cut with a burin, and these copper tablets appears to have been amulets, unlike inscriptions on seals which vary. In each case, inscriptions on the copper tablet seems to be associated with the animals portrayed on them. Next, we are going to talk something about the pottery. So, a large quantity of pottery excavated from the sites enable us to understand the gradual evolution of various designs, motifs as employed in different shapes and styles, and the Indus Valley pottery consists chiefly of very fine wheel made wares, very few being handmaids, and plain pottery is more common than painted wares. Remember, plain pottery was more common than painted wares, and the plain pottery is generally of red clay. Remember, this plain pottery was generally of red clay with or without a fine red or grey slip. It includes knobbed ware ornamented with a row of knobs, and the black painted ware has a fine coating of red slip on which a geometric and animal designs are executed in the glossy black paint. Now, polychrome pottery is rare. Remember, polychrome pottery. Polychrome is the many colored or multicolored, you can say. So polychrome pottery is rare and mainly comprises small vases decorated with geometric patterns in the red, black and green, rarely white and yellow. So incised ware is also rare, and the incised decoration was confined to the bases of the pans, always inside to the dishes of offering stands. Perforated pottery includes a large hole at bottom and small holes all over the wall, and was probably used for straining liquor. Pottery for household purposes is found in as many shapes and sizes as could be conceived of for daily practical use. A straight and angular shape are an exceptions, and while graceful curves are the rules, miniature vessels most less than half an inch in height are particularly so marvelously crafted as to evoke the admirations. So this was about the vessels and pottery. So next we are, before moving forward, let's have a look at this images. So here you will see a perforated pot. This must be used for liquor, and here you will see image of different types of pottery. Here you will see the decorated, we can say decorated portion of this pottery. Now something about the beads and the ornaments. Now the Harappan men and women decorated themselves with a large variety of ornaments produced from every conceivable material, ranging from precious metals and gemstones to bone and the baked clay, while necklace, fillets, armlets, and finger rings were commonly worn by both sexes. Women wore girdles, earrings, and anklets. Hoards of jewelry found at Mohenjo-daro and Lothal include necklace of gold and semi-precious stones, copper bracelets and beads, then gold earrings and head ornaments, fines, pendants, and buttons, and beads of steatites and gemstones. So, all ornaments are well crafted. It may be noted that cemetery has been found at Farmana in Haryana, where dead bodies were buried with ornaments. Now, the bead industry seems to have been well developed as evident from the factories discovered at Chanudaro and Lothal, and beads were made of cornelian, amethyst, jasper, crystal, quartz, steatite, turquoise, and lapis lazuli. Okay, so remember, these factories were discovered at Channudaro and Lothal. Factories of beads was discovered at Channudaro and Lothal, and these beads were made of different stones like cornelian, amethyst, jasper, crystal, quartz, steatite, turquoise, lapis lazuli, etc. So metals like copper, bronze, and gold, and steel, faience, and terracotta or burnt clay were also used for manufacturing beads, and the beads are in varying shapes, size, disc shape, cylindrical, spherical, barrel shaped, segmented. So some beads were made of two or more stones cemented together, and some of stones with the gold covers. Now some were decorated by the incising or the paintings, and some had designs etched onto them. Great technical skills has been displayed in the manufacture of these beads. Now the Harappan people also made brilliantly naturalistic models of animals, especially monkeys and squirrels, used as a pinheads and the beads. Remember, monkeys and the squirrels, like models of these monkeys and the squirrels used as a pinheads and the beads. Now it is evident from the discovery of large number of spindles and spindle works in the houses of Indus Valley that spinning of the cotton and wool was very common. So before moving forward, let's have a look at this beautiful jewelry as the bead work and the jewelry items during the Indus Valley period. So here you will see these different types of beads. This must be a necklace. This must be an armament, and these different beads which were made up of different materials. So the fact that both the rich and the poor practiced spinning is indicated by the finds of the vase made of expensive faience as also of the cheap pottery and the shell. Men and the women wore two separate pieces of attire similar to the dhoti and the shawl, and the shawl covered the left shoulder passing below the right shoulder. Remember, so it means that these people were aware of use of cotton. Now, from archaeological finds, it appears that the people of the Indus Valley were conscious of fashion, and different hairstyle were in the vogue, and wearing of a beard was popular. Among all, cinnabar was used as a cosmetic. Remember, cinnabar was used as a cosmetic, and face paint, lipstick, corylene, that is the eyeliner, were also known to them. And many stone structural remains are also found at Dholavira, which show how the Indus Valley people used stone in the construction. Now, the artists and the craftsmen of the Indus Valley civilization were extremely skilled in the variety of crafts and the metal casting, stone carving, making paintings, pottery, and making terracotta images using simplified motifs of animals, plants, and the birds. So here you will see some of the terracotta toys. So with this we have come to an end of this chapter. So do subscribe to our channel for more such lectures, and do hit the like button, and do comment below. Do share this with your friends, and do comment below so that I'll come to know if for some improvement. If you want some improvement from me, please do comment below. And if you want me to make more such videos, do comment below and do let me know. Thank you. Thanks for watching.